I used to sit in the back row, head down, hoodie up, hoping nobody saw the tears in a grown man's eyes. I carried guilt like chains on my boots, and every mile hurt worse than the last. But somehow, God kept breathing mercy into a heart that forgot how to beat for itself. There's a crack in the mirror of this old motel room. Looks a little like the shape of all I ruined. I've been running from the silence every night, 'cause the quiet brings the demons back to life. Mama's Bible on the dashboard still shakes every time I cross another county in the rain. And I whisper, Lord, I know I ain't been right, but heaven still ain't closed the door tonight. I got scars nobody claps for, songs I can't sing loud, pain sitting beside me like a ghost inside the crowd. But I'm still walking through the fire with a little bit of faith left in my chest, still calling on the Father when my soul won't let me rest. I got ashes in my Sunday suit, mud on these broken shoes, but grace keeps saying I still got room for you. So if I fall 100 times tonight, I'll get up 101, 'cause mercy found me breathing when I thought my hope was gone. I spent years trying to drown what hurt, cheap whiskey, empty rows, and a heart of dirt. Everybody loves a smile on a stage, but nobody sees the war behind the face. And I remember that night by the creek, crying so hard I could barely speak. I said, God, if you can hear a wreck like me, send a little light I can believe in. The sunrise hit the pine trees like a choir made of gold, and for the first time in forever, I didn't feel alone. So I kept walking through the fire with a little bit of faith left in my chest, still calling on the Father when my soul won't let me rest. I got ashes in my Sunday suit, mud on these broken shoes, but grace keeps saying I still got room for you. And even when the night gets cold and these old wounds come undone, I know heaven keeps a light on for the lost and stubborn ones. I ain't a preacher, I ain't a saint, I still got questions, I still got pain, but I've seen mercy in the darkest place, and I know redemption still remembers my name. Now I'm singing through the heartache with a little more hope inside my veins, and every tear that ever fell wasn't falling down in vain. I got scars beneath these tattoos and stories I can't erase, but God still uses broken things to show the world His grace. So if you bear same hands that pulled me out are reaching down for you. Yeah. Some nights I still hurt. Some mornings I still fight that darkness. But I finally learned healing don't always come like lightning. Sometimes it comes slow, like a hymn in the distance, like a hand on your shoulder, like God whispering, you made it one more day. I used to think being numb was the same thing as being strong. So I laughed loud, drank harder, and buried every wound where nobody could touch it. But pain's a patient thing. It waits in the dark for your silence. And somewhere between the broken nights and the empty mornings, God started speaking louder than my regrets. A cigarette smoke on this old black coat, and 100 bad memories sewn in the folds. I've been carrying shame like a pocket knife, cutting deeper every sleepless night. Daddy said, boy, don't let them see you bend. So I learned how to break without making a sound. Now these tired eyes stare at the ceiling fan, praying heaven still wants this man. 'Cause I've been lost in back roads with a heart full of rust, trying to outrun sorrow, but sorrow rides with us. The devil slept in my shadow, whispered I was born too far gone, but grace came knocking at midnight, singing mercy in a broken song. And I cried like thunder in the church house rain, fell down hard but I got back changed. Now every scar upon my soul reminds me I survived it all. Yeah, the dark still calls my name sometimes, but it don't own me like it used to. 'Cause God built stronger hearts out of the ones life nearly ruined. I remember driving nowhere fast, windows down while the storm clouds crashed. Thought about giving up that night till a radio choir sang, hold on tight. And it felt like heaven reached through static noise, like Jesus sat beside me in that Ford. Didn't take my pain away at once, but he gave me strength enough to trust. Now I leave a little light on for the man I used to be, 'cause broken people learn the most about what it means to heal. The devil slept in my shadow, whispered I was born too far gone, but grace came knocking at midnight, singing mercy in a broken song. And I cried like thunder in the church house rain, fell down hard but I got back changed. Now every scar upon my soul reminds me I survived it all. Yeah, the dark still calls my name sometimes, but it don't own me like it used to. 'Cause God built stronger hearts out of the ones life nearly ruined. I still got battles, still got fears, still hear echoes from those years, but every sunrise feels brand new, and every breath now feels borrowed truth. So if you're drowning in your silence, thinking nobody sees your pain, brother, heaven hears the tears you never learn how to explain. And the road back home ain't easy, Lord knows it takes some time, but the hands that pulled me from the dark are reaching for your life tonight. Yeah, the devil slept in my shadow, but he ain't sleeping there no more, 'cause God walked through my wreckage and opened every locked door. Maybe redemption ain't about forgetting the past, maybe it's about surviving it and still finding the courage to sing, even with trembling hands, even with tired eyes, even when your heart still aches. That's faith, son. That's faith.
You ever smile so people don't ask questions? Yeah, me too. I got real good at saying I'm alright, while falling apart behind closed doors. There were nights I drove for hours with no destination, just me, the rain, and a heart too heavy to carry. But somewhere on those lonely roads, God kept leaving little signs that I wasn't abandoned yet.
There's an old truck stop crossed by the interstate, where I bowed my head in the pouring rain. Had dirt on my hands and regret in my veins, trying to pray through the hurt and shame. I've been chasing peace through neon lights, through empty bars and endless nights, but every road I took just led to another war inside my head. I was barely holding together, like a thread about to break, but mercy has a way of showing up right before it's too late. Heaven found me halfway down a road I shouldn't survive, with tears on my face and no strength left to fight. I was calling out broken, with a heart full of scars, and God met me there in the middle of the dark. Now every sunrise feels holy, every breath feels brand new. I still got pain in my story, but faith helped me make it through. I remember Mama singing hymns real low, while the world outside turned cold as stone. She said, son, storms don't last forever, and lost souls still come back home. I didn't understand back then, too busy drowning in my sins, but her words kept echoing through the years, like heaven whispering in my ears. Now I wear these wounds like proof that grace can heal a man, 'cause the lowest valley sometimes leads right back to God again. Heaven found me halfway down a road I should And that little bit of mercy probably saved me from hell.
I still got scars, still got memories that hurt when it rains. But I finally know this: God doesn't wait for perfect people. He walks straight into the wreckage and stays.
There was a season in my life where every night sounded like sirens in my head. I'd sit awake till 3 a.m. Television glow, empty bottle, tired soul, wondering how a man can feel surrounded by people and still be completely alone. But even then, God was somewhere in the noise, waiting for me to finally listen.
I got a motel heart with a vacancy sign on, burned out dreams hanging where the hope had gone. Every wrong choice echoes down these halls like old ghosts scratching on the walls. I kept running from the man inside, covered up the hurt with a crooked smile. But pain don't disappear with time, it just learns how to hide a while. And every mile of empty highway felt like punishment somehow, till I whispered, God, I'm tired, and the silence answered loud. I've been praying through the static, trying to hear heaven call my name, with these trembling hands and a soul worn thin, begging for a little grace. And I know I ain't no angel, got too much dirt beneath these nails, but mercy keeps on showing up every time I think I failed. So I sing these broken hallelujahs through the storm and through the pain, 'cause God still listens to the sinners who got nothing left but faith. Mama used to leave the porch light on, like she knew someday I'd come back home. Even when I disappeared for weeks, chasing darkness down dead-end streets. And one cold night beside the riverbank, I looked at my reflection and finally broke. Said, Lord, if you still want this life, give me one more reason not to let go. Then the wind moved through the pine trees like a choir dressed in white, and for a moment I could feel hope breathing back to life. I've been praying through the static, trying to hear heaven call my name, with these trembling hands and a soul worn thin, begging for a little grace. And I know I ain't no angel, got too much dirt beneath these nails, but mercy keeps on showing up every time I think I failed. So I sing these broken hallelujahs through the storm and through the pain, 'cause God still listens to the sinners who got nothing left but faith. I still got scars, still fight fear, still shed tears some nights here. But I've seen light in the darkest blue, and I believe God walks wounded roads too. So if your heart feels tired tonight and the world's too hard to face, if you're barely hanging by a thread, still searching for your place, don't give up in the middle of the valley you walk through, 'cause the same God who stayed with Maybe faith ain't always loud. Maybe sometimes it's just getting out of bed one more morning, one more prayer, one more breath, and trusting God can still build something beautiful from a shattered soul like yours.
I remember sitting by that river with mud on my boots, thinking maybe I'd gone too far this time. Too many lies, too many nights wasted, too many people hurt by the man I became. And I kept asking God, how do you still love somebody like me? But the river just kept moving, like mercy does. There's a worn-out Bible on the passenger seat, coffee stains and pages falling at the seams. Kinda looks like me these days, still together but barely holding shape. I've been carrying guilt like a sack of stone, smile for the crowd then break alone. Every midnight memory cuts so deep, makes a grown man scared to sleep. And the devil knows my first name, calls it through the dark, but grace keeps whispering louder, straight to my heart. Still echoes in my head, broken souls ain't broken past repair. I didn't believe her for a long, long while, till I saw hope show up in a stranger's smile. There was an old church off a county road, just a handful singing soft and low. I slipped in late, stood in the back, afraid God might not want me back. But the preacher said, son, redemption was built for hearts like yours. And those words hit harder than anything before. The river didn't judge me when I fell down on my knees, didn't care about my past or the man I used to be. It just carried all my sorrow past the shadows and the pain, like God was saying, son, you don't gotta drown this way. Now I still got wounds that ache sometimes, still got storms I'm walking through, but mercy flows like water and somehow makes all things new. I ain't cleaned up perfect, still got dirt under my skin, but heaven's full of second chances for worn out souls like him. And every tear I cried alone, God counted everyone. Even in the darkest valley, he never stopped calling me son. So if you're standing by your own river tonight, thinking you've fallen too
fall down. Brother, shame can feel like chains till grace comes, breaking them apart. And the same God that met me there with trembling hands and truth will sit beside your brokenness and carry you through too. Yeah, the river didn't judge me, it just led me back to light. And for the first time in forever, I finally slept at night. Funny thing about mercy, it don't ask where you've been, it just asks if you're ready to come home. I used to think people like me didn't get saved. Too many scars, too much anger, too many nights wasted chasing numbness. I'd look in the mirror and see every mistake staring back at me. But one night, driving nowhere with tears in my eyes, I realized something. Even when I ran from God, He never stopped leaving the porch light on for me. Rain beating hard on a windshield crack, like heaven trying to get my attention back. I was 20 miles deep in my own regret, carrying pain I ain't buried yet. There's a photograph sliding on the dash of a younger man I barely have. He had hope in his eyes back then, for life got heavy and the hurt set in. And every bad decision still echoes in my bones. But mercy has a strange way of calling prodigals home. There was a light left on for me, down a road I thought was gone, through the wreckage and the whiskey, through the nights I barely held on. And God didn't ask for perfection, didn't wait till I cleaned up my soul. He just opened up the door wide when I was tired of walking alone. Now these scars ain't changed no more, they're proof I made it through. And every prayer I whispered broken, heaven somehow still knew. I sat in the back pew Sunday morning, ashamed of the mess I was carrying in. Didn't sing a word, just bowed my head, hiding from the weight of everything I did. Then an old man touched my shoulder slow, said, "Son, you ain't gotta fight alone." And those simple words cut through the dark like the first sunrise after a storm. I felt something shift inside me, like chains hitting the floor. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel at war. There was a light left on for me, down a road I thought was gone, through the red prayer I whispered broken, heaven somehow still knew. I still got memories that keep me awake, still got old demons that test my faith, but grace keeps showing up day after day. And somehow broken hearts still learn to change. So if you're somewhere barely breathing underneath the weight of shame, if the darkness feels too heavy and hope forgot your name, just know there's still forgiveness for the lost and weary too. And the same God who waited on me is still waiting there for you. Yeah, there was a light left on for me when I couldn't find my way, and I thank God every morning that mercy stays.
Maybe healing ain't instant. Maybe faith is just choosing to keep walking even when your soul still limps a little. And maybe God loves broken people so much because cracked hearts let the light shine through.
There's rust on the mailbox by the old dirt drive, and cracks in the porch where we used to sit at night. Mama prayed soft through the screen door glow while I chased trouble everywhere I'd go. I got callous knuckles and a tired soul, too many secrets and nobody knows. I wore my pride like a loaded gun till loneliness became the only thing I loved. And every road I wandered down left another scar behind. But grace has a way of finding you even when you hide. Beneath these heavy hands, there's a heart still trying to heal. Under all this brokenness, I'm just searching for something real. And I still hear heaven whisper when the night won't let me sleep, saying, son, your worst mistakes ain't the whole of who you'll be. So I keep holding on to faith like a rope in flooding rain, 'cause God can build a testimony out of sorrow and out of pain. I remember one December night, cold wind cutting like a knife. I sat alone in a parking lot, thinking maybe giving up was all I got. Then a church choir drifted through the snow, simple voices singing soft and low. And something cracked inside my chest, like mercy finally found the mess. I ain't saying all my darkness disappeared right then, but for the first time in forever, I wanted to live again. Beneath these heavy hands, there's a heart still trying to heal. Under all this brokenness, I'm just searching for something real. And I still hear heaven whisper when the night won't let storm clouds above. So if you're tired of carrying hurt that nobody else can see, and the weight upon your shoulders brings you down to your knees, just know the broken road you're walking might lead somewhere beautiful too. And the same God who held my trembling soul still reaching out for you. Yeah, beneath these heavy hands there's finally peace I can't explain. And every scar that once destroyed me now reminds me grace remains. I used to think faith belonged to perfect people. Turns out, faith's for the exhausted ones, the guilty ones, the ones barely hanging on. Maybe that's the miracle. God never stopped loving us, even at our lowest. Neon lights flickering above my head, bartender asking if I'm good again. I said just tired, but we both knew a tired soul ain't fixed by 90 proof. There was a cracked wood cross on the wall by the door. I swear I never noticed it before. Funny how rock bottom clears your eyes when you got nothing left to disguise. And every old regret started pouring out my chest, like my heart finally got too heavy to keep pretending I was fine. That's when the barstool turned to prayer and the whiskey turned to tears. I finally spoke the truth out loud I'd been hiding all these years. Said, God, I'm lost and I'm exhausted and I don't know who I became. And mercy met me right there in the dark without a single word of shame. Now I still got bruises from the battles, still got memories I can't erase, but I found a little bit of heaven in the middle of my pain. Called my mama at 2 a.m. Could barely talk through the ache within. She just cried softly on the line, said, baby, I've been praying this whole time. And something in me finally broke, like chains snapping from my soul. For the first time since I was young, I didn't feel too far gone. Outside the rain kept falling, but inside I could breathe, like God was slowly patching holes inside the heart of me. Yeah, the barstool turned to prayer and the whiskey turned to tears. I finally spoke the truth out loud I've been hiding all these years. Said, God, I'm lost and I'm exhausted and I don't know who I became. And mercy met me right there in the dark without a single word of shame. Now I still got bruises from the battles, still got memories I can't erase, but I found a little bit of heaven in the middle the darkness knows my name. And grace don't wait for perfect people, it finds the shattered ones instead, the ones barely holding on to hope, hanging by a thread. So if you're sitting in your own midnight, trying not to fall apart, if your soul feels like an empty room and your faith's gone cold and dark, just know God still walks into places most people give up on. And sometimes your first real prayer comes when all the strength is gone. Yeah, the Barstool turned to prayer, and that night changed everything. 'Cause broken hallelujahs still sound beautiful to heaven's King.
I used to think God only lived in churches, but I found him in neon lights, in tears nobody saw, in the wreckage of my own choices. And maybe that's grace, God meeting us exactly where we are.
There's dust on the boots by the front door now, bills on the table I can't work out. I've been wearing this smile like a borrowed coat, trying to keep my hurt from showing. The neighbors think I'm doing alright, but they don't see me losing fights to old memories and sleepless nights that creep in slow after midnight. I was sinking so deep, couldn't tell wrong from right. Then grace slipped through the cracks like morning light. God still hears a trembling voice, even when the words come out broke, even when your faith feels weak and your heart's barely holding hope. He still walks through shattered rooms, still sits beside the lonely ones, still lifts up tired souls who forgot how to overcome. And I know, 'cause he found me crying at the end of myself one night. Turns out heaven listens closest when all you can do is survive. I remember driving past my old school church, windows glowed while the choir rehearsed, and something about those simple hymns made me feel like a child again. Back before the hurt got loud, before I buried dreams in crowds, before I learned to numb the ache instead of trusting God with pain. And for the first time in years, I let the tears roll free, like the weight I carry forever finally loosened off me. God still hears a trembling voice, even when the words come out broke, even when your faith feels weak and your heart's barely holding hope. He still somewhere feeling hopeless, like the dark won't let you go, if your prayers feel weak and empty and your spirit's running low, just remember broken whispers still rise up to the sky, and the God who carried me through hell still hears every cry. Yeah, he still hears a trembling voice, even one as worn as mine, and somehow that little bit of faith still keeps this heart alive. Maybe strength ain't about never breaking. Maybe strength is crying out to God, even when your voice shakes, even when your hands shake, even when your whole world shakes, and trusting He's still there, holding on to you.
There's a scar on my soul where the guilt still lives, from all the love I broke and the hurt I give. I've been carrying shame like an old suitcase, too worn out to throw away. Every night felt like a dead-end road, me and my demons riding along, radio static and a mind gone numb, trying to outrun what I'd become. But the farther I wandered, the louder mercy sounded, like heaven calling my name from somewhere beyond the pain. I heard the church bell through the rain, cut through my darkness and my shame, like God was saying, son, come home, you ain't meant to fight alone. And I cried with my hands on the wheel, finally letting myself feel all the hurt I tried to hide away, all the wounds I wouldn't face. But grace met me there in the storm, right where my broken heart was torn, and the sound of that old church bell probably saved me from myself. Mama used to sing soft hymns at night while the porch light glowed outside. Said no matter how lost you get, God ain't ever done with you yet. I used to roll my eyes back then, too busy drowning in my sin. Funny how truth comes back around when your whole world's crashing down. And those old words hit different when you got nothing left to lose. Sometimes the road to heaven starts with broken shoes. I heard the church bell through the rain, cut through my darkness and my shame, like God was saying, son, come home, you ain't meant to fight alone. And I cried with my hands on the wheel, finally letting myself feel all the hurt I tried to hide away, all the wounds I wouldn't face. But grace met me there in the storm, right where my broken heart was torn, and the sound of that old church bell probably saved me from myself. I still stumble, still lose sleep, still got shadows haunting me. But now I know when nights get long, mercy keeps singing its steady song. So if you're driving through your own storm tonight, with tears burn in your eyes, and the weight you carry feels too much to survive another night. Just listen close through all the thunder, through the fear and all the pain. You might hear God calling softly, like a church bell through the rain. Yeah, he still finds the shattered hearts, still reaches for the weak, and sometimes heaven sounds like hope to a soul down on its knees. I used to think I had to clean myself up before I could come to God. Turns out He steps into the mess with us, into the rain, into the heartbreak, into the loneliness, and He stays there until we finally believe we're worth saving. There's an old recliner by the window screen, where I sat for hours with my broken dreams. Rain drips slow from the fire escape, while guilt rolled heavy through the place. I had friends around but still felt gone. Laugh too loud when the hurt gets strong. Every mirror in that room showed a man too tired to carry his load. And the silence got so deep, I could hear my soul cry out, like something inside me finally was done holding all this down. That was the night I finally let go, laid all my shame at heaven's door. Every wound I tried to hide, every reason I survived. And I said, God, I ain't got nothing left, no strength, no pride, no breath, but mercy wrapped around me slow. The night I finally let go. Now I still got scars that ache sometimes, still got storms inside my chest, but faith showed up in my weakness and somehow gave my soul some rest. Mama's voice came back to me that night, soft like a hymn in pale moonlight. She used to say, son, don't lose hope, even broken branches grow. I never understood those words till I hit bottom face first. Funny how grace becomes real when pain is all you feel. And I cried harder than I ever had, like years were pouring still fall down, still lose my way, still fight demons some days. But now I know grace don't leave, and God stays close to hearts that bleed. So if you're somewhere barely hanging on, with the weight of the world inside, and your soul feels like a war zone, you can't survive another night, don't be afraid to break apart. Sometimes healing starts that way, and the same God who carried me will meet you in your pain. Yeah, that was the night I finally let go, and somehow found the strength to stand. Turns out surrender ain't weakness when you place your life in God's hands. Maybe we spend too much time trying to look unbreakable. Maybe God can do more with honest tears than fake strength. And maybe the first real step toward healing. Spent years driving away from things I didn't want to feel. Every highway looked like an escape route, every city another chance to hide. But no matter how far I went, the hurt always climbed in the passenger seat beside me. And one night, somewhere between exhaustion and surrender, I realized God had been following me the whole time, not to punish me, to bring me home. Taillights blur through a Tennessee rain, cheap motel coffee and a heart full of blame. I got dust on my Bible and holes in my sleep, memories cutting so sharp and deep. I used to think redemption belonged to the saints who never did no wrong. But broken folks like me learn slow, grace grows best in wounded souls. And every mile I kept running still led me back to truth. You can't outrun mercy when heaven's chasing you. I saw mercy in the rearview mirror, right behind my darkest days. Every road I thought would kill me somehow carried me to grace. And God never stopped calling, even when I stopped believing. He kept a little light burning through every season of my leaving. Now I still got scars from the battle, still got nights that hurt like hell, but I ain't fighting by myself anymore. And that's the reason I'm still well. There's a diner off an old state road where I finally let my story show. An old waitress poured my coffee black, said, "Son, you look like you need your soul back." Funny how strangers sometimes know the pain we work so hard to hide below. And her kindness hit me harder than shame, like God was speaking through her name.
that fall like rain, but grace keeps whispering, soft and low, son, you don't gotta walk alone. So if you're somewhere lost tonight, with your past chained to your chest, and every breath feels heavy, like your soul can't get no rest, just know heaven still sees you, even at your lowest point. And the same God who pulled me from the wreckage still rebuilds the destroyed. Yeah, I saw mercy in the rearview mirror, and it never once gave up on me. Turns out God was closest when I thought he'd finally leave. I used to think faith meant never doubting. Now I think faith is driving through the storm, hands shaking on the wheel, and trusting God's still somewhere ahead of you. You know what nobody tells you about survival? Sometimes surviving don't look brave. Sometimes it looks like sitting in the dark, trying to make it through another night without falling apart. I carried so much guilt for so long, I started believing I deserved the pain. But God has a strange habit of walking straight into ruined places and calling them worth saving. There's a stain on the carpet from a bottle I threw the night I almost gave up telling myself the truth. Apartments smell like smoke and fear, and the silence screams so loud in there. I had my back against the kitchen wall, trying not to break, trying not to fall. Every prayer felt weak and late, like heaven might have closed the gate. But somewhere underneath the hurt, past the shame and all the scars, there was still a tiny spark alive inside this shattered heart. So I sang a hallelujah with cracked lips, through the pain I couldn't fix, with tears falling on tattooed hands, begging God to understand. And mercy didn't turn away, didn't leave me where I laid. It wrapped around my broken soul and slowly taught my heart to hope. Now every scar has got a story, every wound became a prayer. In the darkest nights I barely survived, led me straight to heaven there. Mama's old voicemail still lives in my phone. Baby, don't forget you ain't alone. I used to skip it when it came on late, now it sounds like grace. I drove downtown at 3:30, streetlights blur like memories. Then I parked beside a little white church and cried till my chest finally hurt. And I swear the wind through those pine trees sounded just like peace, like God was telling me gently, son, you can still heal. So I sang a hallelujah with cracked lips, through the pain I couldn't fix, with tears falling on tattooed hands, begging God to understand. And mercy didn't turn away, didn't leave me where I laid. It wrapped around my broken soul and slowly taught my heart to hope. Now every scar has got a story, every wound became If you're barely holding together and your faith feels paper thin, if the mirror shows a stranger and you can't forgive your sins, don't believe the lie that says you've wandered too far gone. 'Cause God still builds cathedrals out of hearts that come undone. Yeah, I sang a hallelujah with cracked lips, and heaven heard every word. Turns out broken prayers at midnight might be the most honest ones on earth. Maybe God ain't waiting for polished people. Maybe He's listening closest to the ones crying in parked cars, to the exhausted souls, to the hearts barely beating. And maybe that's the beauty of grace. It still reaches us, even with cracked lips.
There's a burn hole in the seat beside me from a cigarette I let die slowly. Kinda like the man I was becoming, half alive and always running. I wore my pain like a leather chain, smiled real big just to hide the shame. But lonely nights got sharp somehow when there ain't nobody else around. And the farther that I drifted, the heavier my soul became, till even silence sounded tired of hearing me in pain. Then I saw the cross by exit 9, standing through the storm that night. And something in me finally broke, like heaven reached into my smoke. I pulled over on the shoulder lane, hands trembling in the rain, and whispered, God, if you still care, I can't keep living like this here. And mercy came down soft and slow, like a hymn my mama used to know. Turns out grace can find a man, even lost where the highways end. I remembered Sunday mornings young, mama singing while the choir hummed. Back before life got hard and mean, back before addiction buried dreams. I spent years thinking I was too stained, too far gone for amazing grace. But broken people learn someday, God still walks through wreckage anyway. And every tear I held inside started pouring free, like the chains around my chest finally loosened off me. Yeah, I saw the cross by exit 9, standing through the storm that night. And something in me finally broke, like heaven reached into my smoke. I pulled over on the shoulder lane, hands trembling in the rain, and whispered, God, if you still care, I can't keep living like this here. And mercy came down soft and slow, like a hymn my mama used to know. Turns out grace can find a man, even lost where the highways end. I still got scars, still got doubt, still got nights I battle now. But faith ain't perfect, it just stays even when the strong man breaks. So if you're driving through your own dark road with a heart too tired to fight, and your soul feels like a war zone underneath neon lights, just know God still waits beside us in the places pain begins. And sometimes your road to healing starts funny thing is, that cross probably looks small to everybody else. Just a piece of wood by the highway. But to me, it was proof God still leaves signs for broken people. Even on roads nobody expects redemption to find them.